I'm Impad.
And I am Janae, also known as Sovereignty Conjurer.
Pat and I are two licensed cosmetologists who work on all hair textures. Historically, salons have been hubs for real talk, debates, advice, and yes, a little gossip. Now we're bringing those community conversations online. Our chairs hold more than just clients, they hold culture, trust, and tradition. So each episode, we dive into hot topics, current events, and salon stories. And we want to know your thoughts. Follow us on Black Behind the Chair at Black Behind the Chair on major platforms. Drop a comment. We'll follow you back. Love the show. Share it with a friend. It's the best way to support us for free. If you've got something to say, you can text or call 570-713-5905. There is a weird popping noise now all of a sudden.
Yeah, I can hear it, but I don't know who
Sure.
it's coming from.
It went away.
It stopped.
I muted
No.
myself, so now I'm like, it may be the headphones.
What's gone? So let's see what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And we're back.
And we're back. So yeah, we talked about our a lot in that first hour because we can just yap with the remaining of our time, and I know we can kind of drift. Do we want to hit some of the salon topics, or do we just want to kind of go into current events?
I mean, I'm honestly along for the ride. What were the salon topics? Oh, Gina. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I had on there under salon things is Gina Curl versus Jerry Curl. And I really just wanted to point out that the Gina Curl is the Jerry Curl. It's just called something different. We actually had Cheryl, I can't think of her last name, which is crazy, whose father actually invented the California curl, was on the podcast with us earlier this year, and
Oh
she would
yeah.
have had a lot to say about that. But yeah, mostly I just wanted to point out that they're the same thing, but they're charging like $1,000 for the Gina curl. And so maybe I, wanted to touch on like branding and colonization.
Yes.
We can do it another time.
No, we can talk about that because it kind of reminds me. I should have saved the video. I keep seeing this hairstylist. Couldn't tell you where she's at, but I'm assuming she looks white. And she's like pricing these women for their hair, and they're all getting like, I think, like color and hair extensions, and she's quoting them like over $2,000. Now, as a hairstylist, I know things can be expensive, but to me, that sounds a little crazy because even if now I don't know where she's getting the hair from or source, so like I don't know. But to me, for it to be $2,000, like, are you paying just $1,000 for hair? Like, because I understand, charging more to make back the money that you spent on the
Sure.
extensions, and then also charge like an install. But like, I'm sitting here being like, I still don't know how we're calculating over $2,000
Oh,
though.
we're getting there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously we don't know this girl personally. I, as a stylist, I feel like if your clients will pay it, charge that shit. Like,
Sure.
if they'll pay it, charge it. But don't price yourself out of business trying to like keep up with the people you see on Instagram, because Instagram is not real.
Yeah.
It's not real
Well,
life.
Yeah.
And I'll have to try and find the video, like I said, and see where she's working because I felt like when I saw wherever she was, I was like, I could maybe understand if we were out in California or New York, like charging these kinds of prices. But like, I felt like wherever she was, I was kind of like, I don't know, babes. Like that seemed, but yeah, you're right. Like if you have people that are gonna pay it, like,
And your work matches the, like don't be
mhm,
doing shoddy work and charging that. But what I will say is I play around a little bit with tape-in extensions specifically.
mhm,
And sometimes the hair is $1,000, and that was pre-tariff.
mhm.
Wow.
Depending on how much hair they have, how long the hair is, what color treatments have been done to the hair. Sometimes you have to color the hair to match their hair. Like,
Mhm.
so I mean, I don't feel like $2,000 is a lot of money, especially in a world where tariffs exist. But like I said, if your clients are paying it, you deserve clean.
Yeah, I guess yeah, if you're like if it's worth the quality, like who am I? Like but I was just thinking like maybe it's because like I wouldn't spend
Right,
$2,000
right, right.
on extensions.
Right.
Fair.
Absolutely. And I often in my coaching find myself fighting with hairstylists about like what's in your wallet has nothing to do with what's in your client's wallet, right? It's not
Yeah,
your place to judge how much money they have and what they can afford and
ab-
all of that. But it reminds me of a story. I was interviewing Kim Berry on my therapy sessions podcast where I interview other hairstylists. And Kim Berry was Prince's hairstylist for like almost 3 decades.
Wow.
And one of the wildest stories that she told me during our time together was how, like, the first like 2 years that she was doing Prince, and I don't know if we've ever had a conversation, but like Prince, I've been obsessed with Prince since like I was born. Okay. I love Prince. He is the greatest rock star alive. I will die on that hill. Or, well, he's not alive anymore, obviously, but um, the first 2 years she was doing his hair, she was charging him like $45 per style. Like, girl. And what changed that was she started talking to Will Smith's barber, and she found out that he was making $2,000 to $3,000 a day,
Wow.
and that's what changed that for her. Um, so I just know that hairstylists tend to undercharge for their value. And so I would lean towards charging $2,000 than not charging $2,000 personally.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
yeah, maybe that's on me too like cuz I don't do extensions. So like again,
Mm,
who am I
yeah.
to but
It's a skill. It's
yeah,
a skill.
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody can't do it.
Mhm,
Yep.
mhm. That's funny about the Gina curl being the Jerry curl because I feel like
Girl.
we saw that with the wolf cut, and I was like, "This is a shag,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
I've
they're
seen
like,
that before.
"No, like a
Yeah.
shag is what my grandma had, like Farrah Fawcett," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's what this is. Just sometimes a little bit more texture."
Yeah. I never get caught up in the names because, especially the older I get, I just am not as hip as I used to be, right? But I'm like, if you show me a picture, I can do it
Mhm,
100%. So I don't care what you
mhm.
call it, show me a picture and let's talk about it.
Real shit.
But yeah, the shag and yeah, it's all the same thing. Even like when they were doing that cowboy, what are they calling it? Cowboy copper, like whatever. I think the names are for clients. I don't think the names are for us. Right? Like I
No.
remember when hair color used to just be like 9V or 9N, and then at some point they started calling it like cafe au lait and sandstone, and you know what I mean. And I think it just
Mhm.
sounds pretty for the guests, but like 6 in is still 6 in. Like
Literally.
that don't change just because you
That
called it.
reminds me of weed strains, like, you know,
Uh,
when they were first coming out with the weed strains, and it's like, okay, there's Blue Dream, but now people are just like, just put blue in it. You could say blueberry pie, like you could say whatever you want as long as you kind of just like give a nod to the strain. But it's like, I mean, we could just call it what it was.
yeah, yeah,
Literally.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, and that's why a consultation is so important when it comes to cosmetology. Because, yeah, when I have someone and they're like, oh my gosh, I saw this beautiful buttery blonde or this cowboy copper or whatever. And I'm always like, when you say copper, like, what do you see?
Mm-hmm,
Because to
mm-hmm.
me, copper can be a really intense orange base, or it can be like, have some more red pigment to it. And also, what gets me is they'll be like, I want to be copper, but not red.
Girl, what?
Huh?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we know, like, orange, just color blue, is made of what? Red and yellow.
yeah.
So, like, let's use our brains here.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yep.
you just gotta talk to them like a kid, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like explain things to me like I am 6 years old.
Literally.
Absolutely.
I
That's my jam too. If I had to say like there's one thing that I just really excel at in doing hair, it is the consultation. Like that is my jam.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
is my jam.
That sets the tone.
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you do release, like make them sign a form ever?
Only if um you know how you have those clients and you're talking to them in English and they just don't care what you have to say. They want what they want, right? So
Mhm.
this actually happened last week with my apprentice. She's like, we've done color theory. She's certified to do hair color, but with assistance, right?
Mhm.
So hair color is on her books, but it's like root touch-ups. It's like very simple stuff. No highlights yet, like none of that. So this woman comes in, she's never been to the salon before. She puts herself on for a root touch-up. And so my apprentice and I discussed it, and we're like, how much you want to bet this girl has blonde hair? And like, sure enough, she comes in, she's got blonde hair, but it's clear that she had low lights at some point. So she's like level 10 white blonde, but like I'm looking at your hair, you've had low lights, like recently. And then her roots, she said that I forget what she told me she put. I think she just said she had put like peroxide on her root. So there's like some home hair color stuff happening. There's a lot going on, right? And then she shows us this picture with a filter on it of this like beautiful white, no dimension in it whatsoever hair color. And so I'm telling her, you've had these low lights, like there's nothing I can do. You're going to have dimension. There's like, unless you buy a wig, like you're gonna have dimension. And not only that, but we have to be really careful because your hair is like this close to melting off
Mhm.
already, right? And she just kept showing us this picture and saying, it's fine, I trust you. And I felt that she was not hearing what I was like. I'm telling you, I've told you this repeatedly, and she's like brushing it off. And she thinks that we're working magic today. So I did. We had a release form. I hand wrote in there, like, recently she's had peroxide, at home. She's got low lights that are guaranteed to be brassy. Like, I wrote down in detail what I told her. And then, yeah, we made her sign it. But do I have every client sign a release? No. It just depends on like how the consultation went.
Mhm.
And I would say I don't have them signed more often than I do have them signed. In a year, I probably do like maybe 5 release
Okay.
forms. And that's just basically because you're paying me when you leave, regardless of how this turns out, because I already told you.
Mhm.
And if you think that you're gonna go home and like what is it called when you like go to the bank and try and like pull the money back? I dispute. If you think you're gonna
Mm,
go like dispute the charge with your bank, no, because I have this paperwork on file that says that we had this conversation and you were delusional.
yep.
So
Period. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we can shift into current events. We talked a little bit about it in the beginning. Because we kind of talked about like, yeah, the Project 2025 and FEMA cuts being a part of that. Um Biden having cancer. Did we talk about that last time?
We didn't.
Okay.
We didn't. Oh, there's the popping again. And it's gone. Yeah, we didn't. I didn't look too deeply into the Biden having cancer thing. I saw that shockingly, like Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. had some really weird, inappropriate takes. But I mean, that's not shocking.
Yeah.
Um, I think when I started to like research what was going on with that, um, I just got a notification that something about oh, you changed devices. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So when I started doing research on Joe Biden, I came across a video of a speech that he gave, where it's crazy. Like he was kind of like one of the original influencers. So I was kind of fascinated by that. Like before influencers were a thing, right? Like he was a visionary during his time. But he was the youngest senator ever elected, and he was elected 3 weeks before my husband was born. And then, of course, he's retiring as the oldest president. So I thought that was fascinating. I definitely want to do some more digging, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. And there's something about like the older generations, like sometimes they're so prideful, right? Like they're like, I will literally go until my dying breath. And it's like, you don't have to. Like
No
you're
one does.
80, you're like 80 something years old. Like
Hey, go
it's
take a nap,
yeah,
Grandpa.
go take a nap. Like it's fine. Um, and I think about that one, oh, was it a senator or representative? And it turns out like she was in a nursing home like for the past 6 months or something crazy.
Oh wow.
And it's like,
I
what?
think that's the case for Mitch McConnell too. Like there were rumors that Mitch McConnell died like months ago, and we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
but who's doing his work though? Because
Why are
he's still.
why are we letting these geriatric people run government?
Literally.
So let me ask you guys this, because we had a very lively debate in the salon a couple of weeks ago, because one of the girls that works there, she's the same age as, she's like right around my kid's age, so she's like 30-ish, said that if you're over 50, you shouldn't be in office. So I agree that like being geriatric and being in office is like too much.
Yeah.
Like if you're in your 80s, for sure, you need to sit down. And also if you're 30, like your brain has literally just finally like fully formed. So I'm not saying like at 30, you certainly have some wisdom, but like we're still like baby wisdom at 30. So I was very passionately arguing that at 50, I feel like I should at least be on the advisory board. Like, to put me out to pasture at 50 is crazy.
Yeah.
So what's like the ideal age for leadership, do you think?
I agree with your sentiment that like 30 is pretty like new wisdom. That is
Yeah.
like you've been through trials and tribulations of 20s, like you've lived some life, but I think I trust people in their 40s a lot. Like I
Mhm.
think that folks who are, you know, in that or at least like late 30s into 40s, I feel like there is a lot of good wisdom there. So I feel like that's kind of that pocket for me.
That's the
And then
sweet spot.
into 50s, like I think that because I read about so I used to intern at Denver Art Museum, and I was working within the lifelong learning and engagement department where we were working with primarily older adults 55 plus and their caregivers, people of varying abilities. And I read some articles that said that post-menopausal women are very sharp, extremely sharp. And same with just like when you're in your, I think they said when you're in your 40s, that's when you're using um parts of your brain that you've never used in your life. Like what you were saying with like the 30s, your brain is fully developed, but once you hit your 40s, that's actually when you start like utilizing a lot more.
Like, now we're cooking with hot grease. Yeah.
Now we're cooking, like now we know what's going on. And then
Yeah.
the postmenopausal, like um that just transition of clarity for women, I think is really important to highlight. So yeah, I mean, maybe that late 30s to postmenopausal period, like let's go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would agree. I think like yeah, 50 shouldn't be geriatric age. Like
I'm
that's
like,
that's a little
Yeah.
crazy.
the way my brain tells me that I'm still young and my body is like, bitch, I know you fucking lying.
Look, but it's cooking, like you cooking. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
cooking, mama.
Well, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking like what's the average retirement age? Like they say it's around 65, 70, right? It should
Mhm.
be that. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I kind of think maybe after 70, depending on what
Yeah.
that brain functioning is looking like. Again, like, why do you want to?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do
Literally.
that until you die?
Literally.
And this kind of
But
reminds me of a conversation I had with my grandma last year. So in January, my grandma suffered a stroke. She's alive, she's okay, but like recovery's been a little rough. Um, and she was back up here in September before her stroke, and we were kind of talking because she's gonna be I think she just turned 70. Um, and we were talking, and I kind of made a statement. I was like, yeah, I think once you're like 75, 80 years old, maybe you shouldn't be allowed to vote anymore. And she got very defensive and was like, so you're telling me, in like 10 years, I shouldn't be. And I was like, listen, if you can like pass a basic, like, I don't know, little test of like, do you know what
like
today's date
cognitive
is?
test.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you know like certain current events? Absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah.
But if you don't really know what's going on, like, no, I don't think you should be able to vote. No, because it's
Yeah.
to me, you're no longer voting for your future. You will be voting for stuff that is going to affect everyone below you. So, like, why do you want to? It to me, it's just a little selfish, depending on the situation. So, fast
Yeah.
forward, grandma has a stroke, and part of her brain is no longer functioning. So, are you telling me that you should be able to vote
Yeah.
when part of your brain is like not
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
functioning? And
Yeah.
and that's no slight to my grandma because she's a Democrat. So I don't want to come off saying like stealing votes away, but like
Mhm.
babes can't even drive.
Right.
Like
I think
she's, like I don't know. Where do you draw the line at?
I feel
Yeah.
like that has to do like a lot with pride, and people
Mm.
want to still feel like they're contributing to the people around them. It's just older folks in general. Um
And quite frankly, policies affect them.
yeah.
Like if you're cutting Medicaid or Medicare, like that affects them.
Sure. But how many of them voted for Trump or voted for people that are going to cut that?
I guess, yeah, like what does age appropriate education, maybe like voter education, look like? There it's probably not going to be the same voter education that you would give to a 30-year-old. Um but like, or yeah, like, do you even need to vote? What is the incentive for
Well,
you?
and I think about it too, like well, not senior citizens, but what is it, like people from the age of like 50 to 75, they typically tend to vote in more local elections.
Hmm.
And then I just think of like some of these local people that we have that, again, you're voting against your best interest. And
Yeah,
you're like mentally not all there.
yeah.
And you're voting for this thinking, so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know where you draw the line. And like,
Yeah.
grandma, if you want to go vote, I'm not going to stop you, but
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying and it makes sense. And also, it makes me nervous because early in our country's history, there were tests for Black people specifically for
Yes.
cognitive and like, can you you know what I mean? So I just feel like it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
But also, I hear what you're saying.
yeah. And
I hear what
I
you're
know I
saying.
can be a little more extreme with some of my ideas and stuff. And not to say that's going to be an easy solution. And I
Yeah.
know it would have to depend on the person. All I'm saying is, I don't know, if you're not able to even drive to your polling place because of something going on like in the brain,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
And
I
I
feel
mean,
you.
like, building outside of the system is always kind of what I lean towards anyways. And so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, if like
Yeah.
if we know that certain policy is going to impact grandma, let's just make sure we can figure out how grandma gets her services outside
Yeah.
of the bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, what's the direct aid that we can give grandma right now? And like, let's
Yes.
just not even bother with fucking voting.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This system is definitely cooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm,
I'm like,
mhm,
we're done with that. Like, I'm not even
Yeah.
playing these games right now.
Yeah.
mhm, literally.
Crazy.
Okay. Do we want to move on to the Diddy trial
Oh
still
boy.
happening? Yeah.
I mean, I know for me, not too much happened this week. You know, Diddy was a very large part of my coming of age story, right? Like I was in the club dropping it low in the 99s into the 2000s, okay? I always felt like Diddy had like dark evil energy around him. I can't stress that enough. He just makes me uncomfortable even before knowing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So Friday night, because I've been eating this stuff up, like I'm following all of the details, I'm going down all the wormholes because I need this dude to never get out of prison ever. So I went down a wormhole Friday night. I did not sleep Friday night. I was at work. I was a zombie in the salon yesterday because so I don't know if you guys remember making the show, Making the Band. And then so they had Danity Kane, but they also had this male group called Day 26. It's 5 guys. It's a male group. So over the years, there's been interviews that have been done with all of the guys. And one of the guys in particular, his name is Q. First of all, he's Diddy's type. Like if I'm so I for some reason I thought Diddy was into to dark skinned dudes because they keep talking about BBC. Like they're calling all these escorts for BBC. And then this week, like the escorts came out and they're all very light skinned. Jonathan Adi, the Punisher, like all of the escorts are very light skinned. So Diddy has a type, is what I'm trying to tell you. So Q is Diddy's type in the in the late 90s, early 2000s. Good looking dude, very light skinned. He was very fine. Recently, I think it was it was right around the time, I think, of Cassie's lawsuit. Day 26 did an interview for Vlad TV. And I don't mess with Vlad because he's a culture vulture and other things. So it took me a while to actually watch it. I finally watched the video. And then since then, like this week, Q did another interview. But the interview that he did with Vlad TV, like I said, it was not too long after Diddy was arrested, and Vlad is asking the question, but in my opinion, he's asking the question as if it's like in defense of Diddy, right? And so 4 of the band members are like kind of keying with Vlad and glossing over it. But if you keep your eyes on Q, his body language, his facial expressions, like everything, he was not okay. And his band members are like talking over him, but he's like not okay. But you can tell in this interview particularly that he's decided that he's gonna speak up. There's other interviews where he doesn't. By the time he got done talking, all 5 of these grown ass men, like these are grown men, 30s and 40s, are in shambles. They're crying, they're in shambles. So I don't know what Diddy did to Q, but to have all 5 of these grown ass men in shambles, I hope he's called as a witness. There's several witnesses that are being called that are anonymous, and the prosecution has not dropped their witness list, so we don't know who's a witness for them. But I hope that he is a witness. I hope he finally gets to tell his story. He did interview this past week, and he told a story about Don Richard, who testified last week, was a member of Danity Kane. They dated for some years in the 2000s, and there's a moment where Diddy invited Q to his house in the Hamptons, which Q said was weird because Diddy wasn't that type of dude with his artists, but he invited him to his house in the Hamptons. He was just being very overly friendly, and Q felt weird about it. When Dawn picked him up, she gave him a red pill and said that it was from Diddy. She told him it was ecstasy, and Dawn is his woman. So he's just like, oh, like they had done ecstasy together before. Like we're about to do ecstasy together and get freaky. And he passed out and woke up out of his sleep, in his words, screaming like a little girl in the twins' bed in the basement in the Hamptons. And people were filming. Like, Diddy, I hope that man never breathes another puff of fresh air again in life, honestly.
And you know what's like really fucked up about this whole situation? Like, will he hopefully be locked up forever or like die? Hopefully, fingers crossed. But you know what's
Yeah.
going to keep him there is the guns being found with the serial number scratched off. It's not going to be anything to do with like the human
And being a terrorist.
trafficking or the
Yeah.
sexual assaults. Like,
Or the trail of dead bodies
yeah,
behind
or the
him.
trail of dead bodies. Like, it's going to be, yeah, something so. Again, it's going to be putting an object over actual human life
Mhm.
at the end of the day.
That's
And
real.
to me, like the video of him doing that to Cassie should lock him up forever. Like, even if you take everything out of it, like that alone, that
Yeah.
was domestic violence. Like, you couldn't get that better if you shot a TV show about it, you know? Like,
And it's
and
wild because I'm still seeing the conversation. Well, why didn't she just leave? Like, she was there because she's a gold digger, and why didn't she just leave? I'm like, we all saw the video of her trying to leave and him dragging and beating her and dragging her back into the room. Kid
mhm,
Cudi just testified that homeboy blew up his car when they were supposed to be broken up. Like, are y'all okay? She couldn't leave
Dude. I mean,
because he's a fucking terrorist.
I'm a
mhm,
survivor of domestic violence, and like,
Same.
I mean, I remember explaining, like, this was before I was really of the understanding that I am now, and thinking like, you know, a lot of people say like I would have just left. You never know until you are in that situation. People
You
are
don't know
mhm,
what you would do.
insane. People
Yeah.
are
mhm,
insane. Like, it gets scary, y'all.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not just, oh, I would just leave. It's not that. And we really have
Yeah.
to hold space for that and understanding.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Word.
And it takes an average victim 7 times to leave their abuser. And I always say that's if they make it to that 7th time. Um, and abuse isn't always physical.
Right.
And a lot of times they will bark before they bite. So they might not start hitting you, but they might hit around you.
Yes.
They might punch the wall, they might throw a glass, they might raise their voice. And like, it's just, again, I've just never understood like blame the victim mentality. Like,
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
wild. And then, yeah, and then we wonder why we have these situations that we have now. Like, we literally have a rapist as president.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
huh?
Mhm.
It's, yeah. I
Yep.
mean, it's rape culture and abuse is so hyper normalized. That is why genocide is so prevalent. Like,
Mhm,
connect the dots, y'all. There's so much that
mhm,
people just normalize. People hang out with abusers constantly and don't ever draw boundary lines and say, yo,
Yeah.
that is unwelcome. I'm removing you from my presence forever,
mhm,
or at least until you have demonstrated that you are in active recovery with
Yeah.
whatever affliction you are dealing with mentally. Like,
mhm,
there's so much victim centered repair that is never brought to fruition ever,
mhm.
like that. And that's the culture that we live in, unfortunately. I am hopeful that we are moving more towards, away from divide and conquer mentality and more into define and empower mentality. And we're actually creating systems of care and places for people to be able to heal and not just survive, but also thrive. I mean, we can talk about this stuff all day, but actually building it is a whole other commitment that a lot of
Mhm.
people I don't think are ready for.
Well, I feel like that kind of ties back to what we were saying in the beginning. Like, people can't be uncomfortable.
Mm,
And like, for true change, like, you're going to be uncomfortable for a minute.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got to be very honest with
Yeah.
ourselves and the
Mhm.
people around us.
Mhm. Absolutely. And like, yeah, cuz I know me, like, I deleted my Amazon. Like I said, I don't shop at Target. I haven't been to McDonald's. Like, I'm really trying to spend my money in the community or just going to the source. Like, I like the native products, and usually I would get that at Target, but they have their own website. And actually, there's more options that I can buy from their website than I can from the actual stores. And same with Honey Pot. I like Honey Pot, and there's way more options on the website than there are in the stores. So, yeah, like if you want true, real change, like a lot of y'all are going to have to stop putting money into these big ass corporations, and you can't even do that.
Yeah.
You couldn't
Yeah.
even do it for a month.
Like
Yeah.
accountability with a corporation versus like even just accountability with yourself and your community. Like
Yeah,
you got to start thinking about it, everything, all of it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yup.
Um,
No notes.
oh, it's been 5 years since George Floyd, and police killings have only skyrocketed since then. So again, here we are talking about accountability. Where is it?
Mhm.
I remember all the white women on Facebook being like, every mom heard him when he cried out for his mom. Oh,
Did you?
did you hold the police accountable?
Yeah.
Do you still say, oh, we love our police? We love blue lives?
Is it still Blue Lives Matter?
I can
And
tell you for a
isn't
fact that it is because I drive behind them in my car all the time with their little Blue Live
Mhm,
Matters or their blue line bumper stickers.
mhm,
Like,
mhm. And isn't Derek Chauvin like trying to pull some shit, like trying to get a plea deal or something?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, George Floyd that was an intense time, and it shaped so much of my understanding now too. I mean, from Michael Brown to George Floyd to now, here we are 10 years later for Michael Brown, 5 years later. And yeah, like you said, police killings are that's just a
Going up.
normal day, like
Mhm.
it's hyper normalized. Again, this abuse is hyper normalized, this brutality is hyper normalized. And I mean, they're only getting like more incentivized with the connections to the IOF, with um, AI technology being able to, I mean, it's only a matter of time until there's going to be deep fakes incriminating people of color.
Mhm.
Um, all of these things, this tech, this mentality, all of it used against us in every way to keep us criminalized, to keep us hurting. And yeah, like what does it look like to break free from that and to really show up and be a person who is breaking free? Like you got to be, if honestly, if white people are not abolitionists, like it means nothing to me at this point. And they have to be actively showing that. Like I have to see evidence of that, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like anything other than that, like there's no trust, there's nothing there for me.
And it's like I actually just got pulled over the other day because my
Ugh.
plates are expired. And what really pissed me off though is so the cop car, I don't know if you guys have seen like these kind of new, my sister called it a ghost car, but I don't know if that's the correct term. But it literally looked like a silver Tesla, but instead of where like the T symbol would have been, it was a horse.
Hmm.
And even like the lights, like from like looking, because he was behind me. So from looking in my like mirror, it almost looked like a car that would have had a bike rack.
Mm.
Like it didn't even look like lights.
Right.
And they were almost like very see-through. Like I really didn't even notice until he got closer and then when he like flipped the lights on. And
Yeah.
I was just like, of all the things going on in the world, and I wasn't even speeding. Like if I were
Yeah.
speeding, okay, I would have understood. But
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything and he fucking followed me for probably like a good 3 minutes and then like flipped his lights on. At that point, just go ahead and pull me over. Why are you
Yeah.
gonna like make me all nervous
Yeah.
Literally.
and
Be a
then pull me
terrorist.
over? Yeah. So then I was annoyed, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, you know, you're gonna want to." Obviously, I'm gonna want to get these updated. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't have anything better to do than to pull me over.
Yeah.
And then I hate
Yeah.
when they try to be like all buddy buddy, like, oh,
Helping you out.
yeah, like if you were really that way, you would let me go. But here we are.
Did he write you a ticket?
Yeah, of
Oh,
course he
wow.
did.
Eh, See,
I actually also got pulled over for expired plates recently.
Hey.
I was sitting still at a red light. And so the cop was like, sitting in a driveway or something. And so when I pulled up and stopped, the cop just got out and sat behind me. And it's a really long light. I don't know what took them so long, but eventually it seemed like minutes went by, and eventually she flipped on the lights, and my plates were expired. But I renewed my plates. And so I'm like, well, so since I've been in Georgia, I've had my stickers stolen multiple times. So I'm like, well, I renewed my plates, and like somebody must have stolen the sticker. Which, first of all, why do I even have to have a sticker? Because you can literally go and run it, and so like you're just wasting money at this point.
Literally.
Like, why do we have a sticker? But so she took my ID and went to run my info, and while she did that, I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna look in my glove box and like pull out the registration. And the sticker actually was still on it. So I guess I must have just like brought it out and stuck it in my glove box and forgotten. And so when she came back, I showed it to her, and she goes, "Oh, okay. Do you want to put it on, or do you want me to put it on?" I made her put it on because, damn it, you're gonna earn this fucking money.
Period. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, there are more important things to be concerned about than whether or not my car is registered. Like, what is the point
Yeah.
of registering the car? Honestly.
Yes. Well, and I'm curious because, he did the whole, once he took my license, like, oh, I'll be back in a minute. And he was over there for like quite a long time. So I'm almost curious, like, what's in my little file?
Mm,
Or like, was there something else that he was trying to, I don't know. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
it just, because I remember sitting there thinking, like, what is taking so long?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
give me my ticket and go.
Literally.
Also, I
Literally.
don't want to be your friend. So, like, don't write me a ticket and then try to be like, okay, like, have a nice day. Fuck off.
My girl,
Fuck
fuck
off.
you.
Literally.
It's also like it's fucking people wanting to play cop too. Because I was assaulted by a security guard at a local bar recently who, like, first of all, the entire situation was just asinine, like ridiculous. I walk in with someone who performs at this venue often. He gets a head nod from like the one security guard who's at the bar. First, two. He gets a head nod from one security guard, and so like they head nod. He sees me with him, and like we both go in. Then all of a sudden comes out the woodworks this other security guard who is like on one. He is already approaching me very aggressively and is like, "Where's your ID?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I'm with him. He performs here and like I'm his guest, whatever, whatever." He's like, "You have to have your ID." Demanding my ID from me just off the bat. So I'm getting out my ID, but I'm like, "Okay, like
Relax.
can you relax? Yeah, like here's my ID." And then proceeds to be very, very weird with me and then like doesn't want me to go into the venue at that point. I'm like, I literally just presented you what you wanted, so I don't understand why I can't proceed. And I was like, I'm gonna go find my friend. It was a friend's birthday party that night. Like she had arranged a birthday party at the bar. I was like, I'm gonna go to Lacey and Brennan because these are the people that I'm here for anyways. And then when I like turn away from him, he grabs my waist and I'm like, bro, don't put your hands on me. And it
Yeah.
becomes a whole thing.
Yeah.
And like we go outside and like he still doesn't want me to go in the venue. My friend comes out, helps with like de-escalating the situation, but I'm like, why did it? And also, mind you, after I showed him my ID, he said that he was gonna call the cops on me. For what, bro? For what? Because I have my ID to show you? Like,
Right.
bruh, it was absolutely ridiculous. But I'm like, why are you playing cop? Like, who are you serving here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gross. Gross.
Such a
Giving
weird-
George Zimmerman.
Yeah.
And he's a brother. I'm like, bro, who brainwashed you? Okay, like I need to know. That was some intense work on your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was
Gross.
kind of having that conversation with my guest the other day. Because that whole like, I guess like when that topic of, how come society loves to see Black women with white men, but when it's Black men with white women, it's like, and I was telling her how, with white women, like, yes, even though them being a woman makes them a minority, they're still white. So they're still within that proximity of white supremacy. Whereas, like, Black men, even though they're Black, they're still a man. So they're still within that, like, patriarchy circle. And I feel like if you have the, like, circle diagram of, like, white supremacy and patriarchy in the middle, like you have Black men and white women circle like interconnecting with that circle, and then you have like Black women way outside of those circles. And I was telling her too, like I was listening to this book called They Were Her Property First, and it talks about white women being slave owners. And they caused and did just as much horror as like the men during slavery did. So like and again, this kind of goes back to my letting certain white women into these spaces. Like, what are your true intentions here, though?
Yeah.
Because history has shown us time and time and time and time and time again, anytime we let one of y'all into these little circles, something happens. And then when we come to ask you questions, you don't know. Now you feel threatened.
Or you start crying.
Yeah. So like, please miss me with that. Because now, like me personally, I don't know if you guys saw that video, and maybe it was down in Florida, and it was this older woman. She had to have been 60s, maybe even 70s, and she like came out screaming, and she was like, get the fuck out of the street, get the fuck out of the street. And she went to slap this drink out of this Black woman's hand, and the Black woman just like slapped her. And when I tell you she got out of that street real quick and like kept it moving, like that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm telling you right now, if you get into my space and I feel any like hostility, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to protect myself and my peace. And if that's going to be a backhand to the face, I hope you're ready.
Real shit.
And when you and after you do that, start crying immediately.
Right.
We need to cry first also. No, that's literally my favorite genre of any video, I have a tab of like white people reaping the consequences of their actions. So there's one that I got recently where this white woman is like calling these women out of their name, but she spits on the girl that's filming. The girl that's filming not only beat her ass as she should, but she held the camera steady while she did it. I was
Period.
like, saved.
Yes. Yes.
Immediately saved.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man.
Well, and that's like I think I said before, I just personally am not attracted to white men, so, whatever. But I don't understand. I think one of the things is like when black men date white women, they often feel the need to like talk down on black women. So like the chick, this actually it's in DeKalb County, Georgia. It's right up the road from me. This white woman, Hannah Hall, shot and killed her black boyfriend after a night at the bar. And they had gotten into an argument. And then she did what all people do when they've come home drunk from the bar. She got out her gun and started cleaning it. And her boyfriend ended up accidentally shot. Her husband's a cop. Or I'm sorry, her father is a cop. And 2 days ago, they just decided that they're not going to charge her.
Oh my God.
But he's been on the internet talking mad shit about black women. So I feel like he got what he wanted. Like you got what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. And yeah, like you said, I feel like, yeah, if you're a black man and a white woman and you truly love each other and there's no like fetishizing or,
Yeah.
well, I picked you because you're not them mentality.
That's
Okay,
weird.
I'm all
Yeah.
for it. Like, be happy. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're like a black man and you're only dating white women because you don't like black women, like that's weird
It's
behavior.
weird.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird. Like
Very
your
Also,
mama's
like,
black.
yeah, I was just about to say, like, what's the relationship like with the mom?
Yeah.
But okay,
That's weird.
weird behavior. And yeah, I mean, same goes for white women. I can't tell you how many times I've heard like, oh, I want a little mixed baby. Oh, I want a little like brown baby. And I used to work with a girl who used to say that. And one day I was like, do you really? Like, are you prepared if you have a black son to like, say, hey, you can't like do the things that your white friends do. Like your white friends playing with water guns, you can't do that. Like your friends wearing hoodies when they go to the mall, you can't do that. Like, so unless you're really about to have those conversations with your children, like I don't think so.
And are you going to protect that child from your Trump supporting family? Like, are you going to say, we don't speak to grandpa because grandpa voted against your existence? Like, we're not doing that. We're not playing that game with grandpa. A lot of y'all are still going to act like grandpa's cool. Like, and that
Yeah.
shit's gross. That shit
Yeah.
is harmful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Period.
speaking directly to people in my fucking family. Like,
Same.
I swear to God, that shit is terrible.
Yeah.
And then have the nerve to be like, how come you don't come around? How come you
Bruh.
don't?
As if you create an environment in which I feel welcome, as if anyone who looks like me could feel welcome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. People like, it's just amazing to me the cognitive dissonance that is maintained by
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, for people who are decolonial, right? Like decolonial black women, decolonial indigenous people, we have to navigate the simultaneous assimilation that we are constantly having to cope with and deal with, and divestment. So like we're code switching between assimilation and divestment. And you know
Mhm.
that is work in and of itself. That's sacred work. But
Mhm.
to have cognitive dissonance and not hold people around you accountable to any standard of, I mean, we're just going to accept abuse, we're just going to accept rape culture, we're just going to accept, oh, you know, he's still nice, he's so nice, so we're just going to
Mhm.
let it slide. Like y'all can't do that.
Yeah.
That's not appropriate, that's not helpful, that's not getting us to any place that is going to be meaningful.
Mhm.
Get from around here with that, ho.
Literally.
Y'all can hit me with it,
Miss me. Miss me with it.
please.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right. Did we want to discuss anything else? We've hit
It,
that last hour. Yeah, go ahead.
I mentioned to my friend that I was going to shout her out because she was the um, practitioner that I was speaking to regarding like astrology and hoodoo, and her partner owns Speakeasy Cafe that is in Holly Hills in St. Louis, Black owned cafe. They're doing a lot of really amazing things over there. My partner is doing a residency there. They just performed some Afro jazz fusion this morning, and that's going to be a more regular thing. And they want to get more folks in the community involved with that space. So wanted to shout them out. They've got some beautiful energy and they're doing wonderful things.
Is it called Speakeasy Cafe?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. Speakeasy
Perfect.
Shout out
Cafe.
to
Holly
y'all.
Hills.
Love it.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah, thank you, Janae, for being on today. Would love to have you probably in the future as well. And actually, this is who I wanted Kaj to meet, and she was the one that showed up at the movie theater
Oh
That
my
is
God.
hilarious.
How did we purchase tickets
That's
next
right
to
next
each
to
other?
each other.
What?
That's amazing.
I mean, that was ancestors. Like, they
Yes.
were there. They knew what was
Mhm.
happening. I love
Yes.
it. No,
Because
That's amazing.
Taj was the one that purchased my ticket, so I was like, "How?" Like, yeah, just like in the
And if you
stars.
hadn't been there, they still would have been sitting right there, not knowing whole time. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. It's crazy how small the world is.
Mhm.
you
Very. So shout out to Kaj.
yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. But the movement marches on. Black Behind the Chair isn't just a show; it's a statement. We're Impad and
Peppermint Pay.
And Janae, also known as Sovereignty Conjurer, thank you all so much for hosting me tonight.
yes, challenging you to be your most authentic and unfiltered self, both in the salon and beyond. Keep shaking the table and breaking the mold. Until next time, power to the curl.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And,
You definitely should change.